What's going on, guys? Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and we're going to be recapping the other divisional playoff game as the Eagles just crushed their rival, the New York Giants, in a divisional game that I had no doubt that the Eagles would win this game. But with the way the Giants played last week against the Vikings, I thought for sure that the Giants could be close in this game. But with the Jags, when talking about them earlier and talking about how good of a season they had, I think it's only fair to talk about the same with the Giants. I mean, this is another team, just like the Jaguars that were projected. The Jags were projected to get like 4 to 6 wins this season. This Giants team was not projected to. This Giants team was around the same area too. I mean, some people had them being 3-14, 4-13. I think I saw somebody say once they were going to be 2-15. This Giants team was very underrated going into the season. Brian Dubol had a great coaching season with this Giants team. Possibly, even though their path has ended in the playoffs, I think he possibly could be the coach of the year, just depending. I think he's a strong candidate to win coach of the year. Just the whole situation with the quarterback situation with Daniel Jones, and their whole team situation, and the way they did and the way they played. And as I'm talking, I get an alert that says Saquon wants to stay in New York. He did such a great job as their head coach, and they should definitely bring him back going into next season. But they did take a tough loss tonight to the Eagles, to a team who really took care of them most of this season. I mean, in 3 matchups, including tonight, their first matchup took care of business. I think they won by like 28 or something, 30 or something. And then the second matchup they played, the Giants didn't have their starters, but the Eagles' starters weren't that healthy. Jalen Hurts wasn't that healthy, and the Eagles only won by 6. So that's why I think a lot of people thought that this would be a close game, including me. I thought it would be a close game because I thought that Jalen Hurts, I thought he wasn't 100%, which I don't think. I think that was a little bit true. I mean, Hurts, they relied on the run game today. Jalen Hurts had a decent game. I mean, 154 passing yards. It's all right. Only 16 completions. Wasn't throwing the ball a lot. But so yeah, they were going to the run a lot, and so now Jalen Hurts has another week to rest. But I don't think he was 100% healthy. Going into the NFC Championship, I think, yes, he can definitely be 100% healthy, and maybe we see a different Jalen Hurts in the NFC Championship game. But I think that was a big question. I think that's why a lot of people, even had the Giants upsetting the Eagles. Obviously, I didn't. I think I had the Eagles by 3, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, let's get in the scoring summary. So the Eagles would score the first 4 scores, all touchdowns. A Dallas Goedert touchdown for 16 yards from Jalen Hurts, 7-0. Then a Jalen Hurts touchdown pass to Devontae Smith, 14-0. Then a Boston Scott 3-yard touchdown run. And then a Jalen Hurts 5-yard touchdown run, and it's 28-0 going into halftime. Now, in the third quarter, with 6 minutes and 15 seconds, the Giants would get their first and only score of the ball game with a Matt Breida 8-yard touchdown run to make it 7-28. A lot of touchdown runs, 3 touchdown runs. And then the Eagles would get the only field goal of this game for both teams with a Jake Elliott 30-yard field goal with 31-7. Now, in this last score, this was just dirty. This was just a little disrespectful, but up 31-7, take all the starters out. Gardner Minshew comes in for Hurts, and Kenneth Gainwell goes to the house for 35. I mean, I love it. I know it's not, usually you should just run the clock out, and, if you have that situation where you're about to go in the end zone, you step out of bounds, stop the clock, and you take your knees. But Gainwell in this situation, he said, screw it, I'm going for the end zone. I like it. But he went in for 35 yards and make it 7-38. That's your score. Getting into the game leaders, I mean, like I said, Hurts struggled with 154. but it's not like Daniel Jones did much better. 15 for 27 with 135 passing yards and 1 interception. Such a great season for Daniel Jones. Tough. This is a tough, game to finish like. I mean, with the thing with the Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, they played a good game. They were in it with the Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence had a good game besides a pick thrown. Daniel Jones really wasn't the Daniel Jones we saw earlier in the season. This was not the Daniel Jones we saw in the wild card last week against the Vikings, and I think it could be very interesting to see how he looks next season. Jalen Hurts was, like I said, was 16 for 24 with 154 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. For the Giants, their leading rusher was obviously Saquon Barkley with 9 carries and 61 yards. And then a lot of running yards for the Eagles today, but Kenneth Gainwell was their leader with 12 carries, 112 yards, and 1 touchdown at the end. Receiving yards, Richie James for the Giants with 7 receptions and 51 yards. And then Devontae Smith for the Eagles with 6 receptions, 61 yards, and 1 touchdown. All right, full box score. I'm excited to look at the Eagles runners. So not only you have Gainwell getting 112, but you have Miles Sanders getting 90 and 0 touchdowns, 17 carries, 90 yards. Then you have Hurts getting 9 carries and 34 yards, and then you have Boston Scott getting 6 carries and 32 yards. Eagles had a total of 268 rushing yards today. Man, that's crazy. A.J. Brown kind of struggled, but he's targeted 6 times, 3 receptions, 22 yards. Goddard had 5 receptions, 58 yards, and 1 touchdown. Jalen Hurts should fumble in this game, but he recovered his fumble, so it wasn't a loss. All right, sacks. Okay, so leading tackle for the Eagles was Hassan Reddick with 5. For the Giants was Jalen Smith with 14. Only 1 sack for the Giants. That was for Xavier McKinney. He had a sack for them last week. Eagles had 5 sacks tonight. 1.5 for Hassan Reddick. 1 for Fletcher Cox, 1.5 for Josh Sweat. I think that was the half sack there. Brandon Graham had 1 as well, and there you go for sacks. Only interception in this game was James Bradbury, interception and returned it for 8 yards. That's pretty much the game. Kick returns, Gary Brightwell, 5 kick returns, 130 yards. Longest was 30. Decent kick return right there. And that's the game. So, Eagles just blow through the Giants and head their way to the NFC Championship. First time they're going to be there since when they won it all in 2018. It's going to be, coming from a guy who is not really like the Cowboys at all since he started watching football and has never wanted to see the Cowboys win a game in his life. I want the Cowboys to win tomorrow. I want to see a Cowboys-Eagles NFC Championship game. Just all this talk this whole season about the Cowboys and Eagles, and I said this in my divisional playoff predictions video, but, think about this. First matchup, Eagles and Cowboys face off, and the Dallas Cowboys are without Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush is starting. Eagles beat them, and Cowboys make a bunch of excuses saying, oh, well, we didn't have our starting quarterback. And so in that case, we would beat them if we had Dak Prescott. So then they faced off earlier in the season. Now Cowboys have Dak Prescott, but the Eagles don't have Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew starting. So Cowboys beat the Eagles, and now the Eagles saying, well, we didn't have Jalen Hurts. We would have beat them if we had Jalen Hurts. Which I don't think they would have beat the Cowboys even if they did have Jalen Hurts in that game because the Cowboys were playing really good. But so in that case, this would be the first game that these 2 quarterbacks would be healthy. Not only that, do you have that and all the talk between these 2 teams this season and all the how both of those games when they played each other on the Sunday Night Football and the afternoon. They were so anticipated. It was such a high game. It was I think there was some really good TV numbers on those games too. But not only that, you got the rivalry. Just, how big of the two rivals they are. And it brings, that crowd in Philadelphia would be very loud. That would be a crazy atmosphere. So, I'm praying for an Eagles-Cowboys NFC Championship game. I just think it's a better matchup. I don't want to see Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship. I like the 49ers. I like George Kittle. I like Deebo Samuel. I like CMC. I don't know. The Cowboys Eagles just sounds like a more fun matchup. There's a lot of more stakes when it comes to that game. Them being rivals, that's been one of the biggest talks this year. The Cowboys and the Eagles. Are they the best two teams in the NFC? And it's looking like they might be the last two standing in the NFC if the Cowboys win tomorrow. Eagles take care of the Giants easily tonight. Great season by the Giants. Great head coaching job by Brian Daboll this season. And he's definitely going to be a candidate for coach of the year when the NFL awards show happens, whatever that is. I think that's in like 2 weeks. But that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and peace out.